You'll know if you should buy Katanaut in the next 57 seconds. Here's your TLDR. If hyperfast roguevania with real teeth, real grind, and real rough edges sounds like home, stay. If you want silky on-ramp difficulty, clean readability, and a quick, fair power fantasy, this probably ain't your station. Katanaut is a solo dev 2D action roguelite set in a cosmic horror abattoir where your sword, your movement, and your nerves are the stars of the show. Moment to moment, it absolutely cooks. Crisp inputs, wild mobility, gore that would give the director's cut of Event Horizon pause, strong builds, and a high skill ceiling. It's also structurally hostile at times. Front-loaded difficulty, progression that can lean on repetitive farming, RNG that can brick runs, readability issues in the particle soup, and bosses tuned like they took new players' breathing personally. If you're a Dead Cells, Katana Zero, or high-aggression roguelite sicko who doesn't mind grinding through bad rolls to unlock a monster of a build, buy it. If you want curated runs, fair curves, and visual clarity, maybe wait for a discount or patches. Just watch from a distance. If all you wanted was that TLDR, cool, thanks for sticking around. Link to the game on PC is in the description. Before you go though, do us a favor and hit the YouTube buttons. Let's the robots on the back end know that this is a useful video that doesn't make you wait until 80% of the runtime to get the info you actually wanted. And if you want a more detailed breakdown, stick around. If you're new here, hi, I'm Squid. I cover action and shooter titles, and the name of the game here is Maximum Meaningful Info with minimum reaction faces. Katanaut is out on PC via Steam at $17.99 US or your regional equivalent. Developed by solo dev Voidmaw and published by the resurrected Acclaim. What year is it? Pretty sure I saw Microprose was releasing things again. Madness. The Switch version is planned, but at the time of this recording, the launch-supported platform is on PC. And that'll make sense if you look at the pace of updates and patches. It's madness in the best way possible. The game dropped on September 10th, 2025, right into the blast radius between Silksong and Hades 2, which is a catastrophic timing choice the dev straight up admits came from not realizing those dates. That combination of a great game with a terrible window is why you're hearing the term hidden gem around online. And where did this come from? And at the same time, seeing very positive Steam reviews from a relatively small pool of players. Voidmaw's ethos is done is better than perfect. And Katanaut feels exactly like that. Hyper-focused, zero feature creep, mechanically sharp, and still missing some sanding where it matters. Alright, so let's talk about the core gameplay loop here. Structurally, think Metroidvania-flavored action roguelite above a sprawling, infected space station. Short, lethal runs where you drop in as not, sprint, dash, wall hop through gore-slick corridors, which may or may not have started off gore-slick, depending upon you. And you chain cuts, gunfire, and abilities into high-speed routes and just explodinate everything along the way. Hoard currency and memory fragments to push a persistent upgrade tree. Hunt better blades, modifiers, and ranged tools to assemble a coherent build. Die, spend, repeat. Slightly stronger each run, slightly deeper, until you can reliably carve through later zones and bosses. Overall, the core fantasy is nailed. That fantasy being, what if your katana turned you into a guided missile in a cosmic horror meat station? Combat is fast. It's animation locked enough to feel committed, but also backed by strong mobility. So you can thread the needle through hell if your reads and reflexes are good. When Katanaut is in its lane, it feels faster than most roguevanias, simpler than the skill tree bloat crowd, and deeper than press attack to win indies that seem to be popping up lately. Now, if that style sounds like your substance, you're already in the likely buy bucket. I think perhaps the strongest reason to care about Katanaut is the swordplay and movement bang. Inputs are tight, dashes, jumps, slashes, swaps all flow into each other without sludge or stepping on toes. Run-based builds matter, there's limited slots but meaningful synergies, and you will have moments where you get a really good upgrade, but you're like, I don't know, I really like this thing over here that lets me teleport across the screen and blow up everything around me, but this is really good too. That's nice. There's swords that change your kit's identity rather than, plus 3% crit or damage nonsense on Tuesdays. There's ranged options that complement rather than replace the blade. It's a restrained roguelite. Instead of 40 currencies and a thesis-length meta, it focuses on a few upgrade vectors that noticeably change survivability and throughput. There's a toolkit that rewards you for committing to an identity and piloting it well. And this is where the Dead Cells and Katana Zero comparisons are earned. Runs are snappy, mobility-centric, and built to reward aggression. When the game lets you fully express that, it's masterful. If you live for that thread a lethal corridor on 1 HP while the soundtrack screams at you, Rush, this this is for you. Right, so art, audio, and vibes. Voidmaw leans hard into cosmic body horror in dense pixel art, and it works. Walls and floors are permanently lacquered in enemy gore, turning each route into a crime scene that you may or may not have contributed to. Mutated ex-crew things that feel one design document away from Dead Space will try to make your entrails into your X-trails. A UI and environment language that sells industrial nightmare much more than generic neon. And the audio backs it. It's synth-heavy, tension-first score that supports pacing instead of trying to be a Spotify single. There's meaty, satisfying hit sounds for both your blade and guns. Impact's really not an issue here. If you buy games on the vibe per dollar, Katanaut is punching above its budget. This is one of those games where a single screenshot sells the fantasy, and also quietly hides some of the problems. Hey, you into this kind of breakdown so far? You know what to do. All right, moving on to performance and settings. So if you don't care about tech, skip to the friction report. There's chapters. Katanaut runs on Godot. Yes, that's the pronunciation. It's referencing the play, although Beckett was Irish, so he likely would have said Godot or something. Linguistics and literary deep cuts in your game reviews. If these random facts have to live in my brain, they also get to be inflicted on y'all too. Have fun with that. It ships with Vulkan, plus a compatibility mode. System requirements are modest. If your PC isn't allergic to indie games and is from sometime on the more recent end of the last 2 decades, you're likely fine. Realistically, performance even on mid-range hardware should be comfortably high. This is not a UE5 stutter fiesta. Steam Deck Crew. Now, I haven't tested it on mine. I have one of the originals that is getting a little bit long in the tooth at this point. Poking around online, it's treated as a pretty strong fit. Community reports, marketing pushes around the deck play do tend to reinforce that. If you have tried it on the Steam Deck, please drop a comment and let us know. Save some people some frustration if that's actually not the case. The visual and UI settings are functional, but not necessarily luxurious. There are pretty well fleshed out gameplay accessibility options to tweak your experience. It's solid, while leaving the readability problems at times untouched. So it's technically solid enough for the price and scope. The issues ahead are design, not frame time. So as for the places it might start to rub, here's where the hidden gem turns into more of a conditional buy. Let's start off with the progression and grind. The progression curve is tuned like the introductory horror beat in Dead Space 2, which is in your face, promptly, look how scary I am, except in this case it's get good if you want to see more of the game. Early game is punishingly sharp. There's limited starting survivability. Early upgrades are gated behind fairly chunky currency asks, depending upon how your early runs go. Now, I did get rather lucky with one of my early runs and progress quite far into the game, so I was able to pick up a couple upgrades after getting past that initial difficulty spike. But if you're not already good at this subgenre of games, it can feel like get in, get mulched, farm for syringes and HP nodes, rinse and repeat until you personally skill up a bit, and can take more than a toe stubbing before needing to heal. For roguelite veterans, that reads as, yeah, okay, sure, that's Tuesday. For everybody else, that can read a little bit like the beginning of the game is a chore. And unfortunately, they may bounce before the combat gets its chance to shine. As for RNG and procedural generation, the level generation and drops tend towards inconsistent, though recent patches have sought to improve on this. Some runs have good layouts, clean routing, strong loot. Excellent. Other runs, it's a little bit more mazy nonsense, some starvation on drops, and you can limp into bosses a bit undergeared, which is not a great time. Now, at a strong contrast to those points, this doesn't fall into the trap that many roguelites do, where item unlocks of questionable quality tend to dilute your pool of effective items and actually become counterproductive. Gold star. One of the mainline issues I think many people are going to run into is readability as well as visual clutter. That same dense pixel art that screenshots so well can get in the way at times. Pickups, drops, important tells, these can disappear into the gore and particles. In high-speed fights, you can easily miss things or eat damage from attacks that you literally couldn't see to react to. And yeah, I'm old, but all of these scores are from the day of this record. I can still notice and react to things quickly. And this is a lot. So to keep up, you either slow down and sweep every corner like a Metroidvania, or you play at the intended speed and accept you're going to get winged once in a while. Pick your poison. Bosses and boss tuning are erratic at the time of this record. Initially, they can feel a little bit overtuned, and RNG will have a notable effect on your relative danger levels when you reach them. Despite leaving narrow room for learning patterns before you're erased, they are really quite satisfying to get the hang of and eventually just style on. So if you love lapping brutal fights, you'll adapt. If you came in expecting tough but fair, this leans a little bit more towards the former, at least until you can see the code in the Matrix. There is a narrative wrapper, Curse Station, Cosmic Horror, Time Loop, but it's not why we're here. Come on now. So overall, you've got S-tier feeling wrapped in B-tier scaffolding. Whether that's acceptable to you depends entirely on how much you're willing to tolerate for good combat. As for me, I'm a gameplay first person, so I'm right at home. Your mileage may vary. It is worth noting, without going full Tim Foyle here, solo dev means there's a brilliant focus on the idea and combat while having limited bandwidth for testing things like readability, tuning curves, and the UI UX. As I said earlier, patches and updates are obscenely consistent and iterative, so I've hope for continued improvements, and I think the track record just since release goes quite a long way to selling that confidence. Acclaim's revived label puts extra eyes and baggage on the project. Other members of the Backplane Club can draw some lines between grindy progression and the publisher's old habits. We'll see. All right, as for value and the Burrito Index, the price at the time of this record is $17.99 US, or your regional equivalent. So what you get for that is, if it clicks with you, you can expect dozens of hours chasing cleaner runs, builds, and mastery, with strong replay value born from mechanics, not just checklists. If it doesn't click with you, you might bounce in under 2 to 3 hours after slamming into the early brick wall feeling like you paid to beta test something. That said, in terms of the Burrito Index, my Al Pastor problem from the shop down the street from me is about $11. So by extension, Katanaut at full price is like 1.5 burritos. Now, I think that's a fair amount to risk. But if you're a combat first sicko, like I said earlier, you're easily getting anywhere between 4 and 10 burritos of value here. If you're a vibes enjoyer with low grind tolerance, maybe wait for this one to hit the 1 burrito max level on sale. If you're a casual looking for a smooth first roguelite, that burrito money is better spent elsewhere. So, final verdicts. Buy, wait, skip. I would say this is a strong buy if you're already comfortable with Dead Cells level aggression or harder, you enjoy overcoming rough edges if the payoff is an excellent feel, and you like supporting ambitious solo projects and don't need a pampered onboarding experience. I would say this is a strong wait for discount or patches if you're here for the art, gore, and atmosphere, but you hate wasted runs from bad RNG, you want better readability and tuning first, or you're intrigued but not convinced, you'll push through an abrasive early game. And lastly, I think this is a hard skip if you want clean visual telegraphs and fair but tough, not hope the drops show up. Or you don't have the time or patience to grind meta progression to feel baseline viable. Or you're allergic to games where great combat is wrapped in systems that feel potentially onerous at times. At the end of the day, Katanaut is not a safe general recommendation. It is, however, an exceptionally easy recommendation to a very specific audience, one that values mechanical excellence so much so that they're willing to tank structural shortcomings to get it. The game is a sharp, stylish, mean little roguelite that absolutely delivers on the fantasy of being a cyber slasher in a cosmic horror death maze, and then tests your patience with grind, RNG, and readability until only the stubborn and/or masochistic are left on the opposite side of the Get Good Canyon. Now, if you're one of them, you're going to have a great time. If not, maybe let this one orbit for a bit. So if you want more reviews like this, clean, honest, zero fluff, hit the buttons. It helps more people dodge the rage bait garbage and find stuff that's hopefully actually useful. I've been BaldSquid. I'll see you next time.